Hello and welcome to my review of the Space Marines Desolation Squad for Warhammer 40,000 from Games Workshop. This kit will cost you £35 and consists of 120 plastic components. Just to put that in perspective, a heavy intercessor squad, which also consists of 5 Space Marines, costs more, £5 more, at £40 for the same number of parts, for 120. Now, part of that is to do with, essentially you can make 2 different units with this squad. You can give them the Super Frag or the Super Crack missile launchers, and that's kind of one way of looking at this kit. You can make an in either or. But all intents and purposes in the codex, they are, one unit entry. They're just Desolation Squad. Now, if they look familiar, that is because they were released in a box set earlier in the year, about 5-6 months ago. I'm shooting this in November, along with the new Brutalis Dreadnought and the new Lieutenant. These Space Marines, there's quite a few memes going around. They originally, before I converted them, look a bit like they've got Nerf guns. They're trying to be the new Devastators for Primaris, but they're not. This is the thing. I don't view them as the new Devastators. The whole point about the old OG Devastators was that originally you could only have one of each weapon in the unit, and each one of those weapons was very unique. If you said las cannon back in the day, you kind of knew what a las cannon looked like. If you said plasma cannon, you knew what a plasma cannon was. Missile launcher. These are all very generic, especially when you bundle all the rocket pods and things on the main rail of the weapon. I don't know what Games Workshop's fascination is for the past sort of 6-7 years of Primaris with kind of rail weapons. Rail rifle type weapons that you can just add certain bits on, different scopes, different, maybe there's too much Call of Duty going on, or maybe that's been filtered through into the hobby, which is such a shame, because Warhammer 40,000 is my favorite science fiction universe out of them all, and usually they're pretty good at I won't say inventing brand new stuff, because everybody copies off everybody, but they have their unique kind of style and things, and these seem very generic, very just very meh. Like a lot of Primaris, like a lot of 40k actually, when you compare it to Horus Heresy. And that's what put me off the whole set. Put me off the Brutalis, put me off the Lieutenant. Well, obviously, just the word Lieutenant puts me off Lieutenant Space Marines, but still, I've eventually picked these up for the channel. And this might be a revelation for 1 or 2 of you, but yeah, sometimes I do purchase minis that I don't like. That might be hard to get over and understand, but you know what? I purchase them for the channel so that I can build them. I'm interested in building them and finding out what the fuss is about, and finding out the intricacies of why I don't like them. Maybe building them would change my mind. And certainly I've had a bit of fun building these and converting them. As you can see, they don't really look much like they do on the box there. And that's what I would recommend you guys to do as well. If you don't like the look of these Nerf guns and things, look at images on the internet, look at how people have, people in the community and fellow hobbyists have converted them. And that might make you like them. It might make you dislike them less. Format of this review, as always, we'll look at the miniatures up close. I'll go through how I've converted them, very quick and easy really, to be fair. Then we'll look at the spare parts, of which there is a good chunk. Then I'll go through the size comparisons as usual, and then I'll talk about all of their rules. So first things first, let's have a look at these minis. We'll start off with the Sergeant with this Vengeance launcher, I think it is. So all I've done really is given him a helmet, because I think that just looks better. I've done away with the bolt pistol. I just think it's silly sometimes when, heavy support sergeants and things have a pistol rather than their main weapon. What I've also done is just given them their OG kind of missile pod weapons. So I guess that's a bit of a laser sight maybe. That's the rocket pod. You can't really do much with the rocket pod with the ammunition feed. It makes sense that it has an ammunition feed. It still doesn't look the best, but to remove it altogether would just imply that he's only going to fire 5 rockets and then that is it for his weapon. So I've attached it to that, and he's got his ammunition box as well. Fine. Of course, the thing that's glaringly obvious is what I've done is I've got the targeting array and I've literally just stuck it with the cable onto his power plant with the flap opening the correct way. Laser targeting is on the side. I think it looks fine. Definitely looks better than hauling around a big rail rifle missile rocket pod gun with this big box on the side of it. Yes, he's a Space Marine, he's a Primaris, he can deal with it, he can deal with the weight and things, but this is my other gripe. I wish these were heavy intercessors. I think these would have worked so much better if they were heavy intercessors, and then you could have put the rockets on their bigger back or power plant even, and have these a bit chunkier instead. But you know, they've given us normal Primaris and they've given us rocket launchers on them. That's the Sergeant. Then for the others, all of the others are in quite good poses really. They're all kind of aiming. I don't know what Games Workshop have been doing on the box there with the models that they made, but they've kind of moved their heads looking the opposite way to where they're aiming, whereas these they just look way better when they're actually looking at where they're aiming with these rocket weapons. And then what I've done again, I've just stuck it on the targeter with the flaps open downwards, and I think it looks better. Doesn't look the best, you know, again with this belt fed rocket system thing. I put some purity seals on them as well, why not? I could have put them on the missiles, but I think it's fine to have them basic like that. This one, again, on the box, they've got his head like looking that way. To me, that just didn't make sense. So I've got him looking up, targeting, firing off the rockets, and then firing off the super cracks as well. The one thing we're missing with all of these are those cool little targeters. I did try and put them in the middle there, but it didn't look uniform. It didn't look great. So it's just one of those things. There's the sacrifice. Sacrifices have been made. Then there's this one, very similar to this pose, truth be told. Legs are a bit different, but they're still looking, they're still firing. You know, if I got a second set of these and put the super frag, which I wouldn't complain too much if I got these in another army box set or something. I'd still use them, but use the super frag. Then I'd put the super frag on the power plants. Unfortunately, you can't have all 4 of the standard desolators with their missile flaps open. You only get 3 that are in the open position and then 2 that are in the closed position, which sucks because I would have liked these flaps to be open too. If you leave this section off, it does look a bit odd, it looks a bit unfinished. But again, I did toy with the idea of having this missile rack facing like that way, but I just think it works with the missiles facing the direction that the desolator is aiming. So there you go. I think it's an improvement, and I think they definitely look better. They look a little bit like a conversion, really, a bit of a kit bash. But I certainly think they look better than you know, what Games Workshop have built them as. There's just too much going on the main weapon. I think they look a bit like, with that many missiles and rockets and things on one weapon platform, they kind of moved into flash gits territory. If you've heard of Orc flash gits, they have like a big looted weapons that they've kind of makeshift, and they've got rockets and different belt feds and different barrels and all kinds of things going on, and you know, trying to move them away from that they look like they've built their own weapon, and they're not as cool as the rifle from Fifth Element either. So anyway, that is the look at the Desolation Squad. Let's have a look at these spare parts. So here are the spare parts. As you can see, there's a kind of Rifle frame spare. I guess that's for the sergeant if you wanted to use both of his arms. These are the super frag missile pods. Again, they work probably better on the power plants because they cover most of the area there. I think with a bit of modification you could couple two up and maybe put them on top of a Terminator, from the Leviathan set if you wish to do that. Head-wise, I've got 2 spare heads, so a bit of a shame this kit is lacking in head. I've just got 1 helmeted head and obviously the sergeant's helmetless head off the set. You're getting 5 super frag missile pods and then a spare super crack, which again you could have used on the sergeant. You get a load of targeting arrays, a few of these open ports for the super frag, and the bolt pistol, which I didn't use, and a different chest plate. So not a huge amount of parts. I do question whether you could use these on other units as well. They seem quite specific for this kit. Okay, on to some size comparisons then. Well, first of all, I'll just compare them to the Lieutenant because it came out at the same time. Lieutenant is going to be the same size as them, but just on that 40mm base. Compare them to the Brutalis, which would have come with the box set. Obviously, the Brutalis, being a Redemptor Dreadnought, is a fair bit bigger. I've also got a couple of other comparisons, such as the Terminator and the Captain. They are going to be a little bit smaller than the Terminators and should be a little bit smaller than the Captain because the Captain's on those twin tactical rocks. And then compared to the usual 3 minis that I like to compare kits to, you've got the Primaris, the Legacy Space Marine and Sly Marbo. So yeah, they're going to be a fair bit taller than normal Space Marines. They should be the same height as Primaris, which they are, so they're going to work quite well with those. And Sly Marbo goes up to the chest. So they will work well with your other Primaris. I still think they should have been on the aggressor armor, the heavy intercessor type frame, rather than just normal Primaris. I think the normal Primaris should have the Infernus, should have the Hellblasters, auto bolt rifles, things like that. But for missiles and long range weaponry, because these are 48-inch range weapons at the end of the day, I think they should have been on the bigger frame Primaris. This is my part of the review where I will go through all of the rules for the Space Marines Desolation Squad. You will find them in kind of the heavy support section, I would say, of the codex. They are nestled in between the Eradicator Squad and the Devastator Squad, so I'd certainly categorise them there, along with the Eliminator Squad and the Hellblasters. Their points cost for 5 models is 120 points, or you can go for 10 of them at 240, which means that they are the same points cost as a Devastator Squad, but they are more expensive if you take 10 of them. Devastators, it's 200 points for 10. Just for a slight comparison, Eradicators, you get 3 models for 95 points. So the Desolation Squad, their stat line reads: they're a movement of 6 inches, toughness 4, save of 3+, 2 wounds, leadership 6+, and objective control 1. The unit composition is 1 Desolation Sergeant and between 4 and 9 Desolation Marines. Every model is equipped with bolt pistol, Castellan launcher, super frag, rocket launcher, close combat weapon. War gear options: all of the models in this unit can have their super frag rocket launcher replaced with 1 super crack rocket launcher, and the Desolation Sergeant super frag rocket launcher or super crack rocket launcher can be replaced with 1 Vengor launcher. I think I called it the Vengeance launcher, but it's a Vengor launcher. So ranged weapons then. Bolt pistol works as usual. It's a pistol weapon, range of 12 inches, 1 attack, ballistic skill 3+, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. The Castellan launcher, which is what they've all got, which is the small rocket pod on their rifle there. It's a blast weapon, it's indirect fire, it's a range of 36 inches, attacks D3, ballistic skill 3+, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. So for their main weapon, it's a lower range than their kind of, I'd say, secondary weapon. And when I mean secondary weapon, I mean I would count it as a secondary weapon because you can swap it. Not the best, you know. Already we've got a range discrepancy there. You know, it's only strength 4, AP is 0 and damage 1. I mean, you've got 5 of them, so potentially you could have 15 shots at 36-inch range, which isn't too bad, but, you know, against Marine equivalent, it's not going to do that well. The Super Frag rocket launcher, which is what they'd typically be equipped with, it's a blast weapon, it's heavy, 48-inch range this time, attacks D6 plus 1, ballistic skill 4 plus, strength 5, AP 0, damage 1. So, you know, you could potentially get 7 shots there each, so that's 35 shots, along with their potentially 15, 49 shots if you get really, really lucky with the dice, like really lucky. It's nice that it's strength 5, but, you know, at AP 0 and damage 1, not the best. Just great at horde killing and firing off multiple shots. Remember, they are firing off multiple shots. The Super Crack rocket launcher, which is what mine are all equipped with. It's a range of 48 inches, 1 shot, ballistic skill 4 plus, strength of 10, AP minus 2, damage D6 plus 1. Now we're talking. Yes, they only get 1 shot each, so I've got 4 of them with the Super Crack, so I'm only going to get 4 shots, but it is a nice strength 10. AP could be better. You know, the AP, I was expecting at least an AP of minus 3, maybe even an AP minus 4. Damage D6 plus 1 is all right too. The Vengor launcher, which is what I've equipped the Sergeant with, it's a blast weapon again, it's indirect fire, it's a good 48-inch range. Its attacks is D6, so that's pretty good, you could get 6 shots with that. Ballistic skill is fantastic at 2 plus, strength is good at 7, AP this time it's minus 1, which is good, and the damage is 2. So that's a good trade-off, I believe. You know, you've got the strength 7, it's most likely going to hit, you potentially could get 6 shots, the AP minus 1 and damage 2. It's a good trade-off, I think, having the Vengor launcher. Close combat weapon works as usual, 3 attacks, weapon skill 3 plus, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. Abilities, faction ability is Oath of Moment, and then Targeter Optics. Each time this unit remains stationary until the start of your next movement phase, range weapons equipped by models in this unit have the Ignores Cover ability and can ignore the penalty to their hit rolls when making attacks with indirect fire weapons against targets that are not visible to them. That's very, very nice. When they remain stationary, they can ignore cover and they can ignore the penalty to their hit rolls. Very nice. Keywords: Infantry, Grenades, Imperium, Tacticus, Desolation Squad. So rules-wise, they're quite solid. Yes, they've only got 2 wounds each, their save is 3 plus. They're going to be a target. They look like they're going to be a target. You know, they're Primaris Space Marines with big missile launchers on their power plants, or even just, you know, if you glue them normally. At 48-inch range, they're going to be a target for your enemy, especially when they find out they've got strength 10 missile launchers. They're going to be vulnerable to long-range fire at 48-inch range or further. They're going to be vulnerable to melee. They're going to be vulnerable to flanking. Luckily, they don't cost too many points. You know, 120 points for the 5 of them. They're probably going to, you know, if they take out a couple of transport or a few heavy infantry models, then they probably will have made their points cost up. It's just keeping them safe, keeping them out of the way of melee. They certainly do go against the doctrine of a spear-tip Space Marine planetary assault army, and I definitely would have liked to have seen them mounting these long-range weaponry on the heavy intercessor, the Gravis armour. Maybe we'll get that in the future, or maybe we'll get an upgrade to the Centurions and it'll have some long-range missiles on those. We'll see. But what do you guys think of the Desolation Squad? Do you think it's a bit of a missed opportunity? Do you agree with me that Games Workshop are trying to turn these into the new Devastators? And if they are, I really hope that they get some individuality and some recognition in terms of the weapons, rather than just have tubes of missiles. Please do put your thoughts and opinions down below. Be good to hear from you. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.